Hello friends, I have Anuraj again with me, a good friend and a guru in telecom and an evangelist for innovation. He has been the head of innovation at a couple of large institutions. One is Siemens, the other one is Ericsson. And he is obviously the guru of telecom. So we're going to talk about the telecom market today. And Anuraj, first question really, why is telecom industry, what is happening in the industry? It used to be the darling of the world 3 years ago or a couple of years ago. What seems to have changed? What's happened?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting phase that the industry is going through, but I think it's a wake-up call to quite an extent, because things have been hyping up. It may be sort of a bubble, one may consider, but it's kind of a different approach to it. I think it is a time when obviously the economies as a whole have been going through wake-up calls to quite an extent, and telecom being a part of that is, and also because of hyper competition in the country, 14 operators per circle, talking about 167 vendors of handset vendors, each doing different, in some cases copy-paste from China into this country, but at the verge of trying to wake up to differentiate now. And at the same time, with the number of subscribers that we have, I think voice has done very well. We've pioneered the lowest cost rates in the world, the highest minutes of usage also with that. And data, broadband has been unfortunately very low, the takeoff there. But I think the transformation is to happen now, because we have devices, we have the right play of certain applications, the content. It's really about the packaging of the right solution and the experiences that is now at the critical step of being realized. Some cases we see glimpses of that, but I think there are many propositions which are going to transform society as we see in the next phase. So I am very bullish that there is going to be a big comeback, and there will be very exciting things, because we see new verticals which are coming about with meaningful interpretations from what telecom is enabling, be it transportation or automotive or healthcare, education being one of the most critical ones. So the enablement of livelihood affecting apps which are also coming about. Smartphone penetration is taking on, with over 800 million subscriptions in this country, let's say over 650 million unique subscribers. There's tremendous potential to grow further. Rural has been growing very fast. We've seen much higher penetrations there. So I think the untapped market is definitely there, but the mature markets are looking for the next step for the data, the VAS space, to revolutionize usage. And I think there are things in the pipeline. There are startups with very innovative ideas. There's a lot of things in the background which will change hopefully a lot of the phase. And I think the operator is also waking up to a fair revenue share split, which has been one of the stumbling blocks also, and still is. So I think that those things are happening
on the VAS
slowly. Yeah, on the VAS space.
Okay. So excellent. So I'm really glad to hear that obviously the prognosis is looking good. After all, we are 800 million, as you said, and 650 million. Those are mind-boggling numbers. And obviously internet, let's talk a little bit about what the role of the internet is. We have just hit the 100 million mark in internet subscribers and users in India.
Exactly.
Right now, right? Exactly. Where do you see the if you combine the mobile game and internet and the 1 billion people that we are,
that's right.
What do you think is what are the killer apps that are out there that people are going to be sort of really looking at?
Yeah, I mean, there are people who are going to be touching the internet for the first time in their lives, and the devices that it's going to be touching them through first are going to be a lot more handheld, a lot more smartphone driven, and maybe very low cost access devices, be it tablets, which are also changing the face, because we've seen the $35 tablet being launched to the market.
And you had a role to play in that.
I've been a key advisor to that project.
Fantastic. You launched Akash, did you?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Oh, brilliant, guys.
Looking at, I mean, I think it's a very exciting proposition, but it still has a long way to go in terms of building it as a full solution, and that's the area that I'm focusing the whole team on now, to work on the content, the whole experience. At the end, all that matters is the experience. We don't want this to become another paperweight device like a computer or one laptop per child type of a. So there are learnings from the past which we need to overcome, I think, to quite an extent. And I think it's really about, at the end of the day, the total user and product experience, the way I coined it.
Brilliant.
And really, at the end, another term I coined over a decade ago, was called simplicity. It's about simplicity at the end of the day. The need for simplicity in an increasingly complex device architecture or ecosystem in the world. And I think the moment you can provide something, what the iPhone has done, for example, very simple approach, directly to the apps which are meaningful, and you can customize it, personalize it the way users want it. And I think that type of an approach in a frugal device, when we can bring internet for the masses and provide internet which is not just the World Wide Web in its and the open stands there for to type a URL. It has to be a lot more customized for them. It has to be driven through multimodal functionalities, so voice-driven searches. I think.
So Siri for
Yeah, pretty much. I would say that type of an approach, because we are seeing like IBM researchers develop spoken web. That's a whole web browsing experience, finding relevant content pieces. Google has been working on voice-based services for a while. There are many players in that area. So I think the moment these are integrated in the right fashion, they're customized for the right verticals, because in India we've got such a vast audience from the top of the pyramid to the base, and such a vast cultural, sort of entities in this area, and also the vernacular needs are very strong in terms of languages and all that. So that customization brings about a whole new paradigm to being able to provide, multimodal services for various users. And I think that's because the literacy, the gap is also very high. We talk about the digital divide also being to quite an extent, but it's really about the urban-rural divide, the literacy-illiteracy divide. There are many of these divides, the economical divides which are there, is the disparity, the vastness. It provides us to really micro-segment the whole needs, who we need to target, and provide a custom solution.
Fantastic, and I think that's a great prognosis for the future. I think telecom industry ki jai ho, right? What do you think of how do you think India compares on the telecom scene versus the global guys? Let's say the Chinese, for instance, or let's say the Europeans or the Americans. Where do you see the Indian industry in telecom, and how do you sort of look at them against the other guys?
India has been fairly unique in its own right. We've sort of grown so rapidly. I think what China took a while to, in terms of mobile penetration, India really exceeded that much more rapidly. But on the other hand, internet uptake has been slow, data services and so forth. But I think that's all changing now, as I was saying. So globally, I think there are a lot of learnings. As I was talking about local approaches, India, Africa, the BRIC countries, we are double IC, Indonesia included in there too. There are a lot of commonalities with platforms, and those are things which I've been promoting as when I was looking after the innovation across emerging markets. Talking about really how we can customize generally developed solutions and quickly adopting them for different geographies around. I think there are a lot of plug-and-play areas where you can take best practices, learnings from each market, and look at, for example, in Africa, we've seen M-Pesa, mobile commerce, mobile money, the whole area revolutionized. There are a lot of things from there which we are taking on in mobile money space here for this market. But there are differences. You need to be able to understand how can you customize them, what are the key verticals. We talk about healthcare and education being the two most interesting ones and relevant and high priority ones. Education needs to go through a reform, and it's all about digital education. How can we bring that for the masses? And we talked about this low-cost access device, Akash tablet, bringing that for remote players, students from tier 2, tier 3 cities, from rural areas, who can actually touch education through a totally digital paradigm now, and change the way people are learning. Yeah.
So the bright spot is clearly Africa, and India seems to be quite aggressively moving into Africa, led obviously by Bharti Airtel clearly. But
certainly, I think there are a lot of other companies in piggybacking on that wave and seeing what can we do there. There have been a lot of BaaS players who've dominated other geographies also, and beyond India. So I think there's a huge bunch of opportunities across the world. And again, one pointer I would give is, I was speaking at the ITU Telecom World, we did a manifesto for change, which was focused around emerging markets and actually looking at the global geographies. And I would urge you to look at the itu.int website and look for the manifesto for change there. I've also got my own blog there from what I envisage.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ratan. I think that was a great insight on the telecom industry. Really appreciate that, Anuraj.
Sure.
Cheers.
Thank you.